great. Lewis is back. Unbelievable, Lewis.
It's great to be back. Back in the land of fart jokes.
It's not a joking situation, Lewis. I think you need to see a doctor.
You would think that he stopped doing that joke when you weren't here, but no, he just found a way to keep
Well, I
doing
was
it.
surprised. I was like, how did Lewis call in just for the beginning of the show, drop some air, and take off? I was truly impressed, Lewis. I'm not sure how you did it, but you pulled it off.
Trust me, I would not be able to do it. I couldn't figure out the time zones if my life depended on it.
I should probably open up to see if we're live, because I honestly have no idea. We're probably live for hundreds. Oh, we are. Boom! We're live. Welcome in, friends. Welcome in. When do people start saying welcome in? It's such a weird thing to say.
Never heard anybody say that.
You've never heard anyone say welcome in? Do you go to any stores?
Welcome in?
Yeah, you go in. Have you been to an Apple store and they go, welcome in? Griffin knows what I'm talking about. Look at him.
No, I don't.
Well, okay, of course he doesn't. There's no stores where Griffin lives.
That's not true.
There's a Tractor Supply store. They don't say such things there.
There might be. It's probably a Walmart.
When I go into the store, the first question is asked is, okay, how many bags of horse feed do you need?
Right. All right, how many people are here? I have no idea what's going on. It says we have no one listening, so something must not be connected correctly, or actually, maybe it is connected correctly. There we go. Now it's coming in. All right. Shout out to Hugo Last. PJ Bottom. It's so close to PJ Bottom, which I feel like would also be a cool name. Also, we got Caveman here. We got Paradise. The Ninja Bricks is here. Jonathan Cusick is here with a very exuberant, hey, everyone. And I have a feeling that people are going to just be rolling in because we have all the news this week. Tons of stuff to talk about. And we're going to cover it all ad nauseum, even things that you probably will wish that we didn't cover. You'll be like, please, Griffin, stop talking about the Mac Mini. Would you please stop? My ears are aching. But no, he won't. He's going to just keep going. We may have to just hang up on him at a certain point. We'll cover the MacBook Pros. Oh, my goodness. We got a Michael Giordano. He says, new guy here. Oh, wow, welcome. We got John Scott. He says, happy for Cyberpunk coming to the Mac. Really? Wow. Okay. I mean, look, if you have a Mac.
We found the Mac gamer.
You're Tim Cook's guy. We found you.
Oh, my God.
We built all of this for you, my friend. This whole empire will be yours. All right. Well, look. No hate for me. I mean, if you want to, if you're going to spend that much on a Mac and you couldn't game on it before and now you can, then that's an added bonus in my book. I mean, obviously you're not buying it for gaming. If you were, we'd have to get the mods in action in here. But if you want to game because you're buying it and you're going to be using it for other things, that's totally fine. Tim is one of my idols, says Michael. Well, you're in the right place, my friend. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and cue up Mrs. You-Know-Who, and we'll get this thing rolling because we got a whole lot of stuff to talk about and not a lot of time to do it because this week, Lewis Wallace has to be walking those medium-sized buns out the door to cover the Apple...
out the door and then back into the same door because that is where his office is.
That's right. He goes, it's like that... It's like
the
that
Abe Simpson joke.
Abe Simpson meme. That's exactly what I was thinking of. That's right. Oh, for the Apple financial call later today. All right. Let me go ahead
for that one.
I know it's going to be very exciting. And the whole stock market's crashing today. What? You okay? Uh-oh. I think Lewis is having a stroke live here on the air.
Did you guys hear that?
No, we did not.
Did you hear that? No. Holy moly.
Oh, no.
Everything froze. Everything froze, and then it went. It's the weirdest thing. I've never heard that one before.
Great. This is
no idea what's going on. Must be Apple Intelligence.
Oh, yeah. Apple Intelligence. Wow. What a release. What a release. All right. Let's go ahead and get things rolling. Oh, Mrs. D. Oh, that delicious little Lewis Wallace is back. Oh, yes, he is, Mrs. D. He didn't respond to my invitation for a Sensual massage with El Caney. Ah! He was out of the country, Mrs. D. I think he narrowly escaped that one. Oh, don't worry, my dear. There'll be another. Lewis, keep your eyes out for that invitation. Don't want to miss that.
Yeah.
El Caney will be there.
Thank God I've got Apple Intelligence monitoring my inbox.
All right. Let's go ahead and get things rolling. Mrs. D, none of us want to hear any more about that, please. If you don't mind, I'm going to get the music queued up, and we'll get this thing rolling.
How about the tweet?
Oh, of course. Look who's back. The single issue voter, Lewis Wallace. All he wants is the tweet. All he wants is the tweet. That's all he asks. Is that too much to ask?
That's exactly right. Is that too much, Jess? No, not.
There it is. I didn't even proofread it, Lewis, so good luck. Okay,
Great.
let's get the music going in 3, 2. Hello, and welcome to the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Aaron Falash. Join me today. He's back from his European vacation, where EU authorities are now investigating the disappearance of several people across multiple countries. The only clue they currently have is that they all seem to share the same profession of writing. It's odd. Managing editor of CultCast, Lewis Wallace is here.
Hey, God, it's great to be back.
What's that red stain on your shirt? Is that ink? What is that?
It's marinara.
Also with us, he had the pockets of his pants altered so they could fit his favorite totally portable writing device, the Newton Message Pad 100. Now all he needs is a new belt. Writer for CultCast, Griffin Jones is here.
Good evening. I am sad once again to report to our listeners that the Cult of Mac Apple Financial Earnings Call live stream-a-thon is sadly canceled. The magicians I hired sadly came down with whooping cough. So it's just not a Cult of Mac Apple Financial Earnings Call live stream-a-thon without live magic. So, I don't know, tune into the 6 Colors one, I guess, if you really care that much, or read our coverage.
That is disappointing.
On
Is
the site.
his audio sounding really low to everyone? Let me know, chat. It sounds very low to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but if it is, I'll let you know, Griffin. But take a look at it if you don't mind while we're vamping
It is
here.
at the same level I had it before, but I can bump it up from 4 to 5.
Oh,
that
careful there. 4 to 5.
Whoa, baby. Whoa.
Yeah, because Lewis is
20%
louder than
more.
you, which won't matter
Okay.
for our audio listeners, but for obviously for the live show. Very
I'll
low,
bump it up
says
a little
John Scott. Caveman says yes. He also says he will end you if you don't turn it up and make it louder.
Holy
that was
moly.
inappropriate, Caveman.
So
Not
much?
necessary to make those veiled threats.
Think
All
I
right,
need a little more, or is this good?
that sounds better.
All right.
Okay. All right, my friends, we got so much to talk about. Obviously, you all know the topic of today's show. We're going to cover everything. We got, we're going to talk about the new Mac Minis. We're going to talk about the new iMacs. We're going to talk about the M4, M4 Pro, M4 Max. Well, maybe tangentially, because they're included in all these computers. The MacBook Pros, obviously. You know what I'm going to be excited about.
Yeah, if we have time for it.
If we have time, well, speaking of if we have time, Griffin tried to work this at the start of the show, and I was like, maybe towards the end, Griffin. The accessories that Apple announced. Oh, yes, there are new accessories. And we're going to try and wrap up with what we ordered. Now, I say we're going to try because Lewis is just clamoring to get off the show so he can go to the Apple Financial Call, one of his favorite events of the year.
Oh, can't wait.
I know. So, which obviously will be more exciting than talking about the actual products. I think we will have time, but we're going to try to. But before we dive in, I do want to give a thank you to our sponsor of this episode, Incogni. Look at all that beautiful data. For those of you watching, Incogni is here to ensure your data remains private and secure. This service is designed to help protect your personal data from data brokers who collect it, aggregate it, and sell it. You had no idea how big of an industry this is. I had no idea. Incogni is a service that helps protect your personal data from brokers. I just said that part. Sorry. Well, why would you want to do this? Well, I mean, you can see, I'm sharing for those of you watching. These are my Incogni results. You give them some information about you, and they go out on your behalf, and they request the removal of your personal data. And they also handle any objections by these data brokers because you have a legal right to say that you don't want your data to be in the databases of all these data brokers, but they, of course, don't make it easy for you. So you have to go make a request, and then they could just say no and make you go through all this hassle to like get your data removed, and Incogni will do that for you. And then they continually monitor and ensure your data stays off the market with repeated removal requests. And why would you want to do this? Well, first of all, if you're watching this, look how many pages of data brokers are on this, on my detailed view of what Incogni has done for me. There are currently like 140 requests that they've put out. There's 87 statuses that they're providing me in this detailed breakdown of different data brokers who they have pulled my data from and requested the data that the brokers no longer collect my data. And it's still in the works. They're still pursuing some data brokers who have churned down the request or making it difficult to get the data removed. And these data brokers have information about all of you. I mean, information that you would not believe. Your social security number, financial information, health information, religious beliefs, ethnicity, phone number, email, gender, relatives' names, your children, your IP information, your shopping habits. And they can, nefarious actors, they're not supposed to do this, but they can use these data brokers to commit identity theft. And all your information's out there. They can put together a record for you and then use that information to steal your identity, and you'll never know how they did it. And this is how. And not only that, but the spam that you get, especially like the spam telephone calls, like I always wondered, how do these people get my number? Data brokers. And since I have churned on Incogni for myself, first of all, shocking amount of information about me out there that I didn't even know existed. My spam calls on my phone, no joke, have been reduced by probably 90%. I used to get robocalls every single day, multiple times a day, from numbers I didn't recognize. My iPhone always told me they were spam. I would say since I signed up for Incogni, I have maybe gotten 3 for the entire week. So drastic reduction in spam calls. But not only that, just like the safe, warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that my information has been taken down from all of these data brokers, like the information just doesn't exist anymore. I've become a ghost. I'm a ghost online now. And if you don't want your information floating around out there, Incogni is a terrific way to take control and get your information pulled down. Surprisingly affordable. And if you want to check it out for yourself, you can take your personal data back with Incogni and use code CultCast at the link I'm going to provide you to get 60% off your annual plan, 60% off. Incogni.com/cultcast, incogni.com/cultcast. That's incogni.com/cultcast. And Incogni has a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you're not totally satisfied, they will give you your money back. So it's definitely worth trying. And like I said, I didn't even know that this was a problem that existed for me or that my data was out there, and shocking amount of data. And I think you'll be surprised at how much data is available on you as well. Thank you to Incogni for supporting this episode. Let's dive right in. We're going to take it all the way over to... Oh, it's Griffin. I was doing my Lewis Wallace introduction voice, but actually we're taking it to Griffin. Let's talk about... He's been waiting all week for this, Lewis. He's been waiting all...
He's been waiting...
all month.
Years.
Maybe the whole year to talk about the new Mac Mini. Fine, Griffin. Go ahead. Go ahead and tell us about it. I know you're excited.
I am on the edge of my seat. Apple unveiled the radically redesigned Mac Mini on Tuesday with versions powered by the M4 chip and a new M4 Pro chip. This new design looks far more mini than before. It's only 5 inches by 5 inches. The entry-level model with M4 gains 2 CPU cores and doubles the built-in memory from 8 to 16 gigabytes, according to Apple PR, compared to, quote, the best-selling PC desktop in its price range. The Mac Mini is up to 6 times faster and 1/20th the size. I think that 6 times faster figure comes from video editing, which is, popular metric for these machines. It's, usually what they're thrown in to do. The M4 Pro now has an extra few CPU and GPU cores, 14 and 20 respectively. The Pro GPU is twice as fast as the entry-level one. The GPU, you get a much more linear increase and return on speeds when you just double the number of cores. With the M3 generation, it seemed like Apple was repositioning the Pro chip to be a little less pro and closer to the entry-level model, but I think with the M4 generation, it looks like they've gone back. This new Pro chip, it looks incredible to me. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that Irfan, because I know that when the M3 lineup of MacBook Pros came out last year, like this is a common complaint.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about this yesterday, and I think we actually predicted this was going to happen because last year was the year of the Macs, right? Like the Macs chips were the ones that were insane. People were, I think, completely justified in their disappointment on the M3 Pro chips because Apple, I think, took away cores across the board. They didn't really seem that powerful. In fact, in many respects, they were less powerful than the previous Pro chips. And now this year, everyone's forgotten what Apple took away. They're giving something back. And this year, I totally agree. I think it's the Pro chips that are the best upgrade. And the Mac chips or the Max chips have more meager upgrades, right? They toss in a couple extra cores for the CPU, some extra cores for the GPU. You know, the performance increase is definitely good across the board. But I think the value proposition this year, definitely the Pro chips. And for most people, the Max chips have gotten to be so bonkers that this is like the first year that I think I'm looking at the best M4 Max chip that's available, and I'm like, I really actually don't think I would ever need this much power for what I do. Like it would actually be a waste of money. I'm getting ahead of myself. I already answered your question, and I'm already getting into the the MacBook Pro. So I'll send it back to you.
They didn't just increase the number of Pro chips from the M3. They increased the number of Pro chips compared to the M2. So like it's a big increase when you're comparing like Mac Mini to Mac Mini because the Mac Mini skipped the M3 generation.
Yep.
The neural engine is 3 times faster than the M1 Pro. I'm pretty sure like they have the same exact neural engine across the entire lineup. So they kept throwing out this 3x faster number, because it's the same neural engine in all of them. I don't think. I guess the Max chip would have, or no, it would be the Ultra chip that would have double the neural engine performance. So that would be 6x. But it's not what we're talking about today. The M4 Ultra, what is that? That doesn't exist.
Not yet.
It doubles the maximum amount of memory to 64 gigabytes compared to the M2 Pro, and 75% faster memory bandwidth. Interestingly, although both the Mac Mini and the MacBook Pro have the M4 Pro chip, the Mac Mini has a higher RAM ceiling than the MacBook Pro with the same chip. The Mac Mini gets up to 64, but the MacBook Pro only goes up to 48.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. The base model drops USB-A, but it has more ports overall, retaining Ethernet and HDMI. A lot of people were wondering if they were going to have to drop those larger ports when they're shrinking down the size, but they increased the number of ports, and now it has 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports on the back and 2 USB 3 ports on the front. The Pro model has Thunderbolt 5 on the back. Did any of us think Thunderbolt 5 was going to happen at all?
Not on my bingo card.
Yeah, so now it can power 3 6K displays at 60 hertz, transfer data at 120 gigabits per second, twice the speed of Thunderbolt 4. I think if you also just do one display, you can do an 8K display at 120 hertz, which is just insane. Here's a controversial decision. The headphone jack is moved from the back to the front, which does make it easier for plugging in headphones, but a huge pain in the ass for plugging in speakers. Personally, with my Mac Mini, like I've talked about this before on the show, I have a giant speaker that sits beneath my desk. So my headphone cable like runs behind my desk and just plugs right into the back of my Mac Mini. What am I supposed to do if I were to get the new one? Like route the cable around the front? That would...
You're going to hate my suggestion.
Maybe
get a dock.
Route it. It's a desktop computer. It shouldn't need a dock. Like maybe maybe if you have like a one of those fancy displays that has audio routing through the display, you could plug it into the display.
Get a USB or like a USB-C audio adapter. See that?
Maybe.
I mean, look, you could buy the one they make for iPhone.
A headphone jack just empty on the front, just like.
But see, here's the thing: it's for headphones, right? So
yeah.
I didn't understand the controversy. I was like, why would you not want the headphone jack on the front? It's for headphones. If you want to use speakers, I don't know how many people use speakers with their Mac Mini, and especially doing it with an actual audio jack that goes into a headphone, or an audio cable that goes into a headphone jack. That seems like a rather rare use case. I could be totally wrong about that, but...
Well, everybody should have something plugged into their Mac Mini because the speakers that come in it are truly garbage. I get better audio from an iPhone 7 sitting on my desk than the speaker coming into the Mac Mini. Maybe the new Mac Mini has a better speaker, but they didn't talk about it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll
I
see.
mean, the
I'll
fact that
figure something
I
out.
didn't even know it had a speaker at all. So it actually has a speaker in it.
It does, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty good. So it's already usable. I mean, it may not sound great,
Usable.
but
It's Airphone. It's barely usable.
if you,
It's like
I mean, I'm
a
not saying you're going to
true-
listen to Spotify on it, but like if you wanted to
Yeah.
watch a YouTube video or something, or you wanted to hear audio from your browser, like you can do that. Even that is a major upgrade over most PCs because, you know, PCs don't have speakers built in unless you have a laptop or something.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's that insurmountable of an obstacle. It's like you could literally spend $20 and buy the adapter they make for iPhone and your problem will be solved.
Do you have a drill?
I do have a drill, yeah.
Just
Welcome
drill
back,
a hole in
Lewis.
your desk.
I wouldn't.
Just thread it right through there.
I spent a lot of money on this desk. I wouldn't tarnish this desk. Let's see. It's the first Mac that's carbon neutral. So they finally figured out how to make something other than one model of Apple Watch carbon neutral. That's nice. The price on the base model is still $599. I think the Pro version is a little bit higher at $1399, but you know, it's still a great value for what you're getting, especially considering how awesome that Pro chip is.
Yeah, man, I wish I had a reason to need this. If I didn't need something portable, this is the Mac I would buy, especially because I have the studio display. This is kind of like the perfect machine for video editing. It's such a great price. It's such a tremendous value. It's really all I need, and I think for most people that's probably true, although I think the iMac is a great machine for those people that don't already have screens. But, dude, talk about a great value. It's just... I can't, man. I really do need something portable. And this is the reason why I bought the Mac Studio and then ended up selling it, because it just sat on my desk and I don't want to be tied to my office. I wish that weren't the case for me, but for those of you that don't have that same need, this is really the best Mac that I think you can get for the price. And an order of magnitude in improvement over any other Mac Mini that we've ever had. Like, this is the best that the Mac Mini has ever been by an order of magnitude. Maybe is a better way of saying that. Like the amount of improvements that you get here are just really tremendous for the price that you have to pay. What do you think about that, Lewis?
Looks like a great machine. I can see why Griffin's so excited.
Mm-hmm.
Is he excited enough to buy one, though, that we have to wait to the end to find that out? I don't want to ask him yet.
I'm guessing he is.
There's one other controversy with this computer.
I love the controversy.
okay.
People realized, where's the power button? Because they didn't show it in any of their pictures. Like, you look at the back, that's where the power button usually is on the Mac Mini, and on the back, right next to the power cable, there's no power button there. And then they realized Apple moved the power cable on the power button onto the bottom of the computer. And if you sort of look at the pictures, like independently, like, you know, you bring it up in the browser or Apple's marketing, you kind of think, well, you know, I could probably reach my finger under that corner and press the power button, because the Mac Mini does have like a little lip under it where it lets heat in out the bottom. So it actually sits like, you know, a little bit off the surface of the table. Can you squeeze a finger under there? And then when you consider that it's only 2 inches tall, and that gap
Is it really only 2 inches tall?
Something like that. And like the gap that you see there is only 1/4 of an inch. And so at the hands-on area, The Verge confirmed, no, you have to pick up the computer. You'd have to have an awfully tiny, skinny pinky to be able to squeeze it.
You'd have to be Alex E. Heath, which is probably the person that was there. He was probably like, I don't have a problem turning it on without picking it up. But you know what, man?
Finger.
It's a Mac. How often
Yeah.
do you need to turn the thing off? Never.
Eh.
It's not like you have to power cycle it.
I maybe have to like press that button like once a month.
Yeah.
But you know, the thing's so tiny, like it's pretty much trivially easy to lift it up and click the button. It does get a little annoying if you consider like these things being rack mounted, because like, you know, if it's like sitting in a case or like partially just, it might not be very easy to be able to press that button. But you know, people are making memes. People are of like, you know, 3D printed things you could put under your Mac to be able to press the button, or complicated
The poker.
contraptions you could set
They
up,
should
you know.
have made the Apple logo capacitive. So like you touch it and you hold it for like a second and the Mac turns on. But that would have solved the problem. But I feel like this is a totally small,
They also
negligible
should have gone
compromise.
more extreme with making it taller and skinnier. Why isn't it cube shaped? It should be a cube.
Yeah.
The best shape for a computer to be.
Well, I kind of wonder if this thing might be too small for its own good. You know, like one of the things I dislike about the Apple TV is if you get a stiff HDMI cable, and some of those HDMI cables unnecessarily stiff, and then you upset the Apple TV down, and then it slowly goes and like starts shifting, you know, and then it's sitting askew on your desk, and you're like, oh my gosh, and you put it back, and then because like the cable just moves it. It's annoying.
And that thing's
the Mac
fairly
Mini
heavy
is
too.
surprisingly heavy. Like the Apple TV.
So is the TV.
No, it's made out of plastic. Like the Mac Mini is much heavier than you would expect.
Well, I hope that remains. I mean, they probably have a pretty beefy heatsink in there to kind of keep this thing cool. Mm-hmm. So, is it everything that you hoped for, Griffin?
It is.
Oh, good.
It is.
I'm so happy for you. I mean, it looks like a terrific machine. Let's move on, though, because Lewis has got to be walking out the door at 1:30, he says. Although I think he'll probably end up being late and won't even notice.
Kind of walk out the door and then walk right back in.
Right. So let's talk about the iMacs, Lewis. Another big announcement this week. The iMacs, the all-new iMacs M4.
Yeah, you won't believe this. M4 iMac delivers major speed boost.
I don't believe you, Lewis.
I believe Apple launched it. They call it the world's best all-in-one for AI.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's artificial intelligence, in case you weren't paying attention.
Apple intelligence, actually. It's a whole step
right,
beyond
artificial.
It's even
better.
By virtue of being the only all-in-one computer they make that runs Apple Intelligence.
That's right.
So, you know, they throw out all this typical numbers. 1.7 times faster than the M1 iMac, thanks to what Apple calls the world's fastest CPU core. This was the first one that they announced this week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They came out the door with the iMac. Let's see. Upgraded GPU ensures the M4 iMac can run games. Everybody wants to play games. Up to 2.1 times faster than the 2021 iMac. Neural Engine is 3 times faster, as Griffin noted, than the M1 iMac, making machine learning and AI tasks noticeably faster. Let's see. Besides speed boost, the M4 iMac ships with 16 gigabytes unified memory as standard. That was a nice surprise. You can configure the machine with up to 32 gigabytes of memory. It also now comes with a 12-megapixel center stage camera with desk view support, which actually sounds like it would be very helpful for certain people in certain situations.
Yeah.
I've never had it together to come up with any sort of thing like that where I could, you know, use my computer and show people what I'm doing. I mean, you can imagine situations where it'd be helpful. Let's see. For the first time, Apple also let you configure the 24-inch iMac display with a nano texture glass to reduce reflections and glare. Particularly helpful if you take this thing outside in the middle of a pasture and start doing some computing in the outdoors. 6 colors plus silver are tweaked. They're a little brighter, although I saw a side-by-side images.
Dude, they look exactly the same.
Yeah. Is this like one of those, color blindness tests?
Like the green is very different. The red is basically pink.
Not the side-by-side that I
saw.
saw.
The yellow on the old one was almost orange, but now it's like a real proper yellow, like sunflower yellow. I think they're completely different.
Okay.
Have to see them in person because I don't trust any of the Apple advertising colors. They never have colors. Let's see. Like before, all M4 iMacs will come with a color-matched Magic Keyboard and Magic Mouse, which I don't guess I realized that before. I never.
I didn't either, actually. Yeah.
Didn't. That's cool. The accessories feature USB-C port, so bye-bye Lightning. And then I don't know if I mentioned this. All 7 of the models you can get in all 7 colors are available for the base model, which I guess last time for some reason they restricted the color options to only higher end versions. So anyway, I mean this all around sounds like a nice upgrade, to a very user friendly computer. If I didn't already have a laptop and a gigantic screen, this sounds like a fine thing. For somebody who's just sitting around typing on their computer and watching videos and stuff. Sounds like a great thing.
What color do you get?
Oh, I don't know. I would have to think about it for a while because I just I don't know, man. The pink one, no, not pink, not orange.
Come on, Lewis.
Probably blue. I don't think I would go with the boring silver. Boring silver. Blue or maybe purple. I don't know.
The purple's very good.
Wow.
I've seen them in the Apple Store. They actually are as colorful as they say. It's like the reason nothing else can have color is because the iMac is using up all of the color.
Wait, and is it red or pink?
It used to be red because it used to be like the 6 colors of the Apple logo, but now I think they just made it pink.
Yeah. I think I saw a picture of iJustine with the pink one, and it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
full Barbie setup. It looked great. She even had a beautiful pink. Like, did they tell her they were gonna have a pink one, so she wore a pink coat or whatever? Anyway, let's see. What was the pricing on this? I think we left that out of this show notes. Let's see pricing. The 8-core M4 chip and 2 USB-C or USB 4 ports. This one costs $12.99. 10-core CPU and GPU variant with 4 USB 4 ports is available for $14.99. Like with all these machines, they're available for pre-order now, shipping on November 8th. Very exciting.
And the base model, I think you mentioned this already, but this is true across the board for all new base model Macs now. All come with 16 gigabytes of unified memory. Apple got tired of being clowned on Reddit and on the all-new X and on every social media platform that they're still selling 8-gigabyte computers or computers with 8 gigabytes of memory, which really was not a customer-focused feature, I would say. It was just an opportunity for Apple to force you into upgrading because 8 gigabytes really is not enough. Like, I bought the 8-gigabyte MacBook Air for my wife. She is the primary audience for that base level machine, and even she still runs out of memory doing just basic stuff, which is a terrible experience. Like, you should not force your customers into upgrading just to use the computer the way you advertise it, or the way you frame it in advertisements to be used. Not cool. So I'm glad that they made this change across the board, and I'm sure you all already know this, but in case you don't, they didn't raise the price on the base machine, so they're just giving you the extra 8 gigabytes of RAM for free. I'm sure it costs TC an extra 50 cents to do so, and he's probably heartbroken
So
about
we'll see
it.
in the next earnings call how much their profits tank now that they have to spend an extra 5 cents per Mac.
Right.
Can you imagine the fighting in the back room, though? Tim just wouldn't let go of it.
He never will either.
I need my profit margin.
He's biting his fist. He can't handle it. But so now the base level machine is actually a decent machine. I mean, it comes with low storage. I think 256 is still embarrassingly bad. But, at least now we have the extra RAM. All right.
Yeah, all those things, moving up or bumping up, doubling the RAM, and keeping the prices the same. To me, that was maybe the most shocking thing about all these announcements all week. It's like, wow, they like in the midst of widespread inflation, they kept everything the same and made it better. Like it's awesome. I thought that was amazing.
All right, I know you all want us to talk about the computer you're actually excited about, the one I'm excited about, the MacBook Pros. And we're going to do that.
I mean, we already talked about the most exciting computer, so now you can do whatever you want with the rest of the show. Yeah, go ahead.
No, we didn't. The MacBook Pros are next, Griffin. Those we haven't even talked about those yet. So you're mistaken. It's surprising to me that you don't remember that. But before we do move on, I want to thank Notion for supporting this episode. If you want a better note-taking app that has the power of AI woven right in, so you don't have to hop back and forth between a note-taking app and some kind of AI tool, you got to give Notion a try. Everybody's using Notion these days. I keep hearing about people using Notion in different ways. It combines your notes, docs, and projects into one space that's simple and beautifully designed. My favorite, it's cross-platform. I am just so tired of these Mac-only apps. I'm sorry. Some of us can't be Mac-only or Apple-only. You have to use other OSs. And that's just the nature of what it is. And it's like, if I can only access my notes from my Mac or my phone, that's inconvenient for me, to say the least. Notion is cross-platform. And the new Notion AI has the capabilities of multiple AI tools built in, which means you can search, generate, analyze, and chat all inside Notion. It's the perfect place to organize your tasks, track your habits, write beautiful docs, the best docs, and collaborate with your team. And the more content you add to Notion, the more Notion AI can personalize its responses to you. Unlike generic chatbots, Notion AI already has the context of your work. So you can like build your own wiki, and when you ask it questions, it will deliver you answers based upon the contents of your wiki, which is super handy. It has great project management tools built in, which takes it and transcends it far beyond a regular note-taking app, because you can actually use it for productivity. You can assign tasks out to people, keep track of the stuff that you actually need to do so that you can actually get stuff done. Make sure that the writers are staying on task, Lewis, know who needs a punishment and who's on track. These are useful things when you're running a team. And then you can have all of your, tribal wisdom all in one repository where people can ask questions and get the correct answers. And then it also has all the great AI writing tools built in if you want to change the tone of a document. If you want to have it just create copy for you. We've done this on the show live before where it created a CultCast promotional segment for us that was better than anyone that we had seen a human write, like no joke. And it knew stuff about us that was surprisingly accurate. The new Notion AI is a single AI tool that does it all. Search across Notion and other apps, generate docs in your own style, analyze PDFs and images, and chat with you about anything. Try Notion for free when you go to notion.com/cultcast. That's all lowercase letters. Notion.com/cultcast to try the powerful, easy-to-use Notion AI today. And when you use our link, you're supporting our show, which we appreciate. Notion.com/cultcast. Let's talk about the all-new MacBook Pro. We've been talking about this for months. I was hoping it was going to happen. It's finally here. We could talk about all the specs. I don't know. Do you want to hear me talk about the specs and go into every new little thing that's coming out? I think that maybe we'll weave that stuff into this segment and then maybe future segments. But I just want to start with my takeaways. This is an absolutely monster machine. I mean, you're getting the power of, if you go with the M4 Max and not the top end spec, but just like the base level M4 Max, you're getting the same level of power as you were from the top spec M3 Max from last year. So I think in that way, it's actually a really good value this year because the insane horsepower that you got with the top spec last year is available in the base M4 Max spec this year. So, and you also get the same amount of cores for the top end spec M3 Max chip last year in the base M4 Max this year. God, this is so confusing. This is why I don't want to talk about it. You get the 14 core and the 32 core, the 14 core CPU, the 32 core GPU, which is the same as the best model last year. And then you get in performance increases. So, and I think this is where things get interesting. So from what we've heard, I mean, Apple says, what do they say here? That it's up to 3.5 times faster than the M1 Max. I think that's an interesting spec, and clearly Apple's trying to position this as a reason to upgrade from the M1 Max because people still have their M1 Maxes because those things were so dang good that people keep asking themselves, well, why would I upgrade? It's still good enough for me, and that's true. But knowing that you could get up to 3.5 times faster performance, I think is compelling enough for an upgrade from the M1 Max. Not to mention, you get the brighter screen, right? So now you can go from 600 nits to 1,000 nits, which is a huge increase in SDR brightness, which means that you'll be able to see your screen outdoors, essentially. Like, I think 1,000 nits is kind of like the level at which you can actually see your screen comfortably outdoors. It still goes up to 1,600 nits in brightness for HDR scenarios. You get about a 25% performance increase over the M3 Max in single core performance. That's kind of estimated. We're going to have to wait to see what all the breakdowns are. That's the thing. We're at a point now where we're just kind of talking about what Apple has told us. I know Max Tech is probably spent like $30,000 ordering Max and is going to benchmark all this stuff, and we'll know exactly where we're at next week when these things ship next week, right? I think they start shipping next week. So we'll have all those tests start coming out next week, and we'll know exactly how much powerful this is. But to me, it seems like the M3 Max is probably like 60 to 80 to maybe even 100% faster than the M1 Max. Now, is that a good enough reason to upgrade? I think maybe it is. Let's see. Is there anything else on here? That's a big feature that's worth
display as an option for only $200 more. You can get the nanotexture display, and I will say that when I was in college, and I eventually got my 2015 Retina MacBook Pro, before that I had the crummy 2008 MacBook Pro with I think matte displays were the only option that came on those. But like when I had the shiny reflective glass display, like, you know, you're sitting in a lecture hall and you put the thing on your lap and like, you know, one of the fluorescent lights just like completely outshines some text on like a portion of your screen. And so you're like carefully positioning this thing, or, you know, you try to be one of those cool people who's like getting worked on like a park bench on a college green. And it's like, well, I can see the part of the screen that's like shadowed by my face, but like the direct sunlight in the sky is just like completely blinding the outer 3/4 of my display, even on like a cloudy Ohio day. Like the anti-reflective display, I mean, on the iPad Pro, you have to like upgrade a bunch, like 3 other things before you even are allowed the $100 option. But like any model can get the nanotexture display, and it's only $200 more. I don't think they've specified like which process it is, like whether it's actually like laser etched or whether it's like the chemical coating that the iPad one gets. But that's a great option.
I think it's a good option. I'm not interested in it because anytime you add any kind of anti-reflective coating, it tends to dull and mute the colors on the screen. So, which I think is one of the reasons why they wanted to make the screen brighter, because you can kind of overpower that somewhat with just more light coming through it. Still not for me, but for those of you that need it, you know that you need it. So it's cool that it is an option and that it is so affordable. I totally agree.
Or even if your home office just like has an unfortunate window in it. Like my office has this big window in it, but like, you know, I carefully arranged it so that, you know, my computer never gets like the blinding sunbeam of light directly on my monitor. Cause, you know, again, that can just destroy like half of your screen for like, you know, until the sun goes by.
Interesting comment from Ellis in the chat. I'm concerned how nanotexture looks over time from touching the keys, right, when you have your laptop closed. Now, that is interesting because normally with the nanotexture, you're not touching the screen. I mean, they even have like a specially sanctioned Apple cleaning cloth that costs $20 so that you can clean your screen. And now your screen's going to be touching your keyboard, which has like oils and all sorts of like grime and stuff all over it, rubbing against your screen a little bit. That is an interesting observation, I have to say.
That's why it matters which process they use, because the Pro Display XDR, they say, don't touch the screen, only clean it with our cleaning cloth. And I think the same thing with the Studio Display too. Whereas the iPad, you know, that screen is designed to be touched. I would imagine they would probably use the same like chemical process that they use on the iPad rather than like the special laser etching thing that they use on the desktop displays, because that, you know, that is a consideration. Like my MacBook Pro had to have its screen replaced because the oil from my incredibly oily fingers was like tearing away at the screen over time.
Yeah. Mark Wilkinson from the chat, knowing Apple, they'll let the customers test that one out. Yeah, true. So I would say not a huge upgrade for the MacBook Pros this year, although I think the biggest area of improvement is in the M4 Pro chips, which is not a chip that I'm interested in, to be honest with you, just because I want to have the best, right? But even for me, the M4 Max is overkill. I mean, if you look at it, I have this up on the screen. With the base level M4 Max, you get 14-core CPU, 32-core GPU, and 36 gigs of memory with a 1 terabyte SSD. Now, I think what's interesting about this is finally at core parity with the M1 Max from a GPU perspective, because I think last year you had to spend the extra money to get the additional cores. I don't remember. So now my memory is failing me. But you get, so the M1 Max, 10-core CPU, 32-core GPU, and now the base level M4 Max, you get a 14-core GPU, which is obviously 40% more cores, and then 32-core GPU, which matches the M1 Max, but you get the additional generations of performance. So it's going to be way just more performant than it was before. So I think this is the machine to go for. If you want to spend an extra $500, you can get the 16-core CPU, so you get 2 extra cores and a 40-core GPU, and 12 extra gigabytes of memory, so they take it up to 48 gigs. I don't think that's worth it for $500. Like, that's just icing at that point. I don't think that you're going to need that level of performance. I don't know what you would be doing to require that level of performance, but I think a lot of just creatives end up buying these machines, and I think that the $3499 MacBook Pro, the 16-inch I'm looking at, has more power than you would probably need for the next 3 to 4 years. So for me, that would be one that I'd be seriously considering. I also think that the M4 Pro chips are going to be the one that's probably perfect for most people, especially if you don't have a weird obsession with getting the best that Apple sells. I think even just like the base 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M4 Pro, like the 14-core CPU and the 20-core GPU, if you're not doing a lot of like heavy lifting graphically or in video editing, this is the machine to get. I mean, this is going to be the one that is going to serve you really well. And I don't think there's really any reason to upgrade to more memory, maybe to upgrade to more SSD storage, because I feel like you can always use SSD storage. I mean, I have 2 terabytes in my current MacBook Pro, and SSD storage space is one of those things that really shortens the lifespan of your computer, right? Like once you run out, now you're having to spend time managing how you store stuff. So I would almost prefer more SSD space over like GPU or even like CPU cores, to be honest, because like it's just an everyday practical thing that affects how you use the computer, whereas you may not notice an extra 2 minutes of export time on a video. So that's where I'm at. Did I just hear someone make some kind of exasperated noise, Lewis? Was that you?
You left out some of the cool stuff, man.
Like what?
You didn't? Did you mention the 12 megapixel center stage camera?
I didn't, but from
What the?
Okay, that's
Aren't you always complaining about the MacBook Pro camera?
Well, not the MacBook Pro camera. I mean, they've already gotten pretty good, but the older MacBook Airs and stuff, and the older MacBook Pros, yeah. So
here's another few nice tidbits. The entry level one now has an extra Thunderbolt port. Previously, it only had 2. Now it has 3. And the Pro and the Max versions have Thunderbolt 5 as well.
Thunderbolt 5.
Yeah, Thunderbolt 5 is, I think it's cool, and we were saying before we started recording, I don't think that was on any of our bingo cards. Like, I haven't even gotten to a point where I'm maximizing Thunderbolt 4, although I do know that there are some portable accessories that actually do take advantage of Thunderbolt 4 speeds. So don't get me wrong, I'm thrilled that they added it. But yeah, now I think with Thunderbolt 5, the max transfer rate is like, what is it, 120 gigabits per second or something insane. I mean, I hate to use the cliche phrase, who would ever need that much speed? You may not now, but you may in 5 years. Yeah.
Quick question. What's the battery life on these new MacBook Pros?
Yeah, so better battery life than ever, right? Up to 24 hours of battery life.
Hours? It's not 8 hours. It's
No.
3 times 8 hours.
Yeah, can you believe it? The technology exists.
That is a long battery life.
Here's the battery life is on my Mac Mini: 0 hours.
Yeah, especially if
My
the power goes out.
And like I just lose everything. It's great.
Here's one of the things I'm really curious about. Is there going to be a discrepancy at speed, or how big is this discrepancy going to be between the 16-inch and the 14-inch MacBook Pro? I'm hoping that with the gains in efficiency, that means we have less heat. And historically, the 14-inch MacBook Pros, even totally spec'd out, have not even been able to outperform like the base, the base level max version of the 16-inch MacBook Pros, because they just get too hot and then they have to throttle. And I'm kind of hoping that that's not the case this year, and that the 14-inch MacBook Pro, like if you choose like the top spec with the 16-inch CPU and 40-core GPU, that it's actually able to outperform the lower spec max version of the 16-inch MacBook Pro. God, there's so many miles, and I know this is confusing, because in previous years that has not been the case, because the 14-inch just can't cool itself enough to take advantage of all the horsepower that you're buying. So Apple sells you it, but you may only get like 2 to 5 to 10 seconds of like the top level of performance before it gets too hot and has to start throttling itself. So really, if you want like the best performing MacBook Pro, you got to get the 16-inch version. We'll see if that changes this year, if that will be the same. There you go. That's the MacBook Pro. Exciting. We'll talk about which ones we bought or didn't buy here in a minute, but do we need to talk about Apple doubling RAM? Oh, yeah, we do. Lewis, we need to mention this.
It's a data point, right? They also doubled the RAM in the M2 and M3 MacBook Air. Same price. It's very generous.
Yeah.
That's all we need to say. I mean,
it was like the one more thing moment of the event. Like they were like, yep, the same M2 and M3 MacBook Airs that we were selling before, now they come with 16 as well.
Yeah. Oh, by the way.
Ta-da.
Yeah, it was kind of shocking.
Yeah, an unnecessary and generous gesture from TC that we don't often see. So now all the computers that you buy from Apple will have at least 16 gigabytes of RAM, and you'll no longer have that artificial well, I guess it's not artificial, but that forcing function to get you to spend more money, because like the base computer is actually going to be able to do what they advertise it to be able to do. So
Thank
I thought
you,
that was
Apple
really nice.
Intelligence.
Yeah, I mean,
The best thing it's done so far.
right, dude, that is actually pretty funny. I mean, truer words have not been spoken, right? I mean, I feel like Apple Intelligence has kind of landed with a thud, and everyone's kind of like, this is like what we were waiting for, right? First of all, the rollout has been
It's
slow.
barely landed.
It's barely landed.
Barely.
But what it does for you so far, I think has not been overwhelming, right? Because a lot of these features exist in other tools, and they're bringing like a baseline of features to the MacBook or to the Macs. It'll get better, but so far it's like, oh, okay, you know.
I got a recommendation today. I had a messages open, and there's a message. I just noticed it this morning at the very bottom of the message. Because, by the way, the Messages app on the Mac, just why does it look so just cheap and trashy compared to the iOS version? Anyway, the wife sent me a text yesterday saying, oh, I made some kale, I made some carrots, it's all ready if you just need to make the pork chops. I looked down today, and Messages is telling me, the next day, it suggests two different things that I could reply. Sure, I'll make the pork chops, or I'll pass on the pork chops. Okay, secondly, that second one means that it doesn't know anything about me. They say that this AI is personal.
It
I have
doesn't have the
never in
personal
my
context yet.
well, it better start working. I can tell you one thing: I will never pass on the pork chops.
I've had some pork chops I would pass on, but not yours,
Really?
probably, Lewis.
Oh.
Yeah, sometimes they end up so dry and overcooked and rubbery. Like, you really got to know what you're doing to cook a good pork chop, to be honest
You
with
got to brine them.
Oh,
You got to
brine 'em.
sear them. You got to
never-
sear them.
see, that's what I mean.
Toss them in the oven and let them come up to just the perfect temperature.
You actually brine them in salt water?
Yes.
No way. I've never heard anyone say that they do that.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How long do you brine them for?
It depends on how much salt you put in there. I actually brined these for like days because it wasn't very salty, and I just forgot about them. But
I'm amazed that we went 50 minutes without a tangent.
I know that
I know
is
not
not
we're on
normal.
a tight schedule, so that is our only allowable tangent for this show. Let's move on.
I was just curious if you guys had any, Apple Intelligence fueled suggestions and messages or anything like that.
Nothing.
I was
mean,
shocked. I haven't seen it on my phone.
the only thing I've noticed is the summarization of like the notifications, which I have found to be completely worthless. Completely worthless.
I get the suggested replies, and none of them sound like me. They sound even more robotic than I would dare to speak. Like, who talks like that? Like
in
the
messages?
suggestions are terrible. Yeah, in messages. Apparently, I completely forgot this existed, but apparently there's the feature where it'll like put a priority email in your inbox. I haven't seen that at all in like the month and a half that I've been testing it. I guess none of my emails are important enough, but I completely left that out of all my writing because I've never received an important email. So yeah.
I'll send you one after the show.
Okay.
Yeah, it won't land at his e-box or his email box, but yeah, it is. But it's been surprisingly underwhelming to me too. And whatever. I mean, I don't really know how much of these AI features I actually will end up using. It's cool to have them. I'm not complaining, but I haven't really noticed anything useful as of yet. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep trying, but like I just noticed that the notifications were being summarized, and I was like, it would actually be easier for me just to go quickly glance the notifications. I mean, how many notifications do you receive that you need them to be summarized for you, right?
I mean, sometimes you have like a really big, like active group chat, and then it's useful because it's like, well, I don't have time to read through like 30 messages. I can just see, oh, my mom and my brother are talking about Pokemon Go. I know I can ignore these for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very curious how well that will work. Sometimes that happens in the middle of the workday, right? Like suddenly the band, there's a text message, like 30 text messages in a 20-minute period. And I'm like, I don't have time to read this. And I'm very curious to see how the summarizations work for that, because right now it's just like, Apple News says this and this and this. It's like, okay, well, whatever.
All right, let's move on to the accessories, and then we can talk about what we ordered, if anything.
Okay,
Take it away, Griffin.
so this is an open question. People were like hoping this was going to happen. I think there was like a last minute leak in some source code, but we finally have a new Magic Keyboard, mouse, and trackpad that spell the end for Lightning. They shut up for sale on Monday, and as expected, they switched from Lightning to USB-C. At this point, the only remaining Lightning connectors in new Apple products are the first generation Apple Pencil, which they really only still sell for the people who still have like old iPads, the iPhone 14, the iPhone SE, and the EarPods, which they still sell a version of EarPods with Lightning, I guess. But that's where the news ends. Other than the connector, they are exactly the same. The Magic Mouse still charges on the bottom, and unless you're ordering an iMac, you can't get any of the accessories in the 6 colors that the iMac comes in, only black and white. The Magic Mouse doesn't support Force Touch. None of them support multi-device pairing. There's no way to get Touch ID on a Mac unless you want to spend at least $150 on a keyboard. They are completely unchanged. So that is, I was waiting for the new trackpad because, I was still on the really ancient trackpad that took AA batteries. So I was going to buy this no matter what. But, I was kind of interested in maybe they would rethink the mouse in a neat way. Maybe the keyboard would be better. Maybe they would have a surprise and they would have one of the, maybe, what I would really buy? I would buy an expensive version of the Magic Trackpad that has a Touch ID ring on it. Because I use my own keyboard. I don't really want their Magic Keyboard. But I still want Touch ID because that would be neat. But no, they're the exact same. They got the AirPods Max treatment. So I guess now we have to wait at least another 7 or 8 years for maybe all of their products to have all of the features. The Magic Mouse is still a physically clicking button. They could do haptic touch on that. It still only supports a fraction of the gestures that the Magic Trackpad has, so you're getting a much weaker experience on the mouse. It's confusing to me.
Well,
but not entirely unsurprising.
Yeah, they got so many products now. I think they don't have the bandwidth to update everything all the time. But sometime next year, maybe you'll get those updates you so seek, and you'll get that USB-C button moved from the bottom of the Magic Mouse to somewhere else. I mean, talk about impractical, right? People are complaining about the button on the Mac Mini. It's okay, maybe that's in second place, but the charging port on the actual Magic Mouse, it's one of the all-time worst placements on any tech product. Okay, should we talk about what we bought?
Sure.
I think I know.
Short conversation.
I think I know what the answers are going to be. But Lewis, you go
why
first.
don't you go first? Oh, sure.
Zilch, I bought nothing.
Absolutely
not a single thing.
All right. I figured you were going to say
Are you
that.
waiting for anything in particular?
Huh? What?
Are you waiting for anything in particular that you want to buy?
No, I mean I've got a M1 MacBook Air that I use. It's got 16 gigabytes of RAM already, which is enough, I suppose. Although every now and then something it doesn't like something, but it's fine for typing and doing images and all that. So
you have an M1 MacBook Pro? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
It's just the M1. It's.
I'm sorry, MacBook Air. MacBook Air.
Oh, okay. You have the MacBook Air. Wow, you're doing everything on an M1 MacBook Air. Wow.
My life is not that complicated. I'm not producing Emmy award-winning TV shows over here.
Yeah. Although you could be if you had a M4 Max.
Yeah,
MacBook
if I just bought a MacBook Pro, suddenly I would be super talented and creative, and everything would be beautiful.
Okay. Well, what about you, Griffin? I have a feeling I know what you got, but let's hear it.
Okay. I actually ordered many things.
Oh,
really?
I ordered a new Mac Mini. I got the base Pro version.
Okay.
So because although Apple raised the limit on my Apple Card, it's still actually kind of surprisingly small. So I got I got the Pro version, just whatever specs that came with. So, and I'm gonna full disclosure, this is not. I don't expect to keep this computer at all. I'm actually just buying this computer to review it and run benchmarks on it and return it. So I'm okay.
Appreciate
with
the honesty there.
Oh dear.
I'm okay with keeping it at 500 gigabytes of storage. I'm not going to fill it up in a week. I didn't need any extra specs, and I kind of want to get more in touch with I want to be a man of the people. I want to be more in touch with what the ordinary people are buying and using.
Totally.
So on the Mac Mini, I got the Pro version. I also ordered a green iMac.
Wow.
Okay.
Base model green iMac. So I'm I'm going to be reviewing that as well. I'm very excited for it. Never owned an iMac, so that'll be fun for me.
Dude, I love iMacs. I wish I had a reason to own one. They really are great machines, and like they're like the perfect like just personal, desktop computer, family computer.
Apple has like all of these marketing images of like people using iMacs in their kitchen, and I'm like, well, why do people have a computer in the kitchen? So
Great question.
I've cleared off a spot in my kitchen where I can put an iMac, and I'm going to see what that's all about.
I wouldn't mind
Maybe
having
there's
an iMac in
something
my
we're
kitchen.
missing.
I mean, it seems kind of superfluous to be honest with you, but I would do it if I had like the money and the kitchen space. I mean, why not?
Yeah, and I got green because I now have a lot of extra potted plants in that area, so nice color coordination. It'll look
Beautiful.
kind of pretty. I also ordered
Wow.
the black Magic Mouse, the new Magic Mouse. I haven't had a Magic Mouse in a while. You can see the USB-C port there on the bottom. Hot take: I think the port on the bottom is perfectly fine. I think it's perfectly acceptable, and I like it. It's okay. I don't know if I'm going to keep it. I'll be honest though.
Wow, that thing
ordered.
show up the day you ordered it, or what?
I also ordered the Magic Trackpad.
Jeez, I've never even seen a black Magic Trackpad.
Well, they got rid of the silver one. You can now only get black or white, and like the white is much whiter than like just unfinished silver. I liked having the silver, but white would clash. Whereas I have a lot of black and silver stuff on my desk. That's the color scheme I go for. So I kind of had to get the black one. I'm not too happy about it. I kind of wish it came in silver, but yeah, I had a very expensive week.
You have to let me know what you think about the trackpad. When I had the Mac Studio, I bought the trackpad with it, and I actually didn't like it. When it's paired with a MacBook Pro or a MacBook, it's like in the perfect orientation below the keyboard, and it's like flush with the keyboard. But when you buy the external one, it has like a slant to it, which I don't love. It's like teardrop shaped slightly, and it's huge, and it's heavy, and it's kind of like hard to place in front of the keyboard so you can have both in the correct orientation. So though I love it in the MacBook Pro, I did not love it having just the independent trackpad paired with an external keyboard. And I would probably rather have a mouse.
I will say there's one thing I don't like about it, and that my old Magic Trackpad, I would constantly like shift it on my desk a little bit. Like I would sort of like pinch it with my thumb and my pinky. But this old one is so big that like I really have to stretch my hand to adjust it. It's not as easily adjustable on the fly. Like I can still do it, but it's much wider than the old one. I do like it. I think I love the trackpad. I've had the trackpad for a long time. Since I switched from my MacBook Pro to my Mac Mini like over a year and a half ago, I've lost Force Touch because I had the ancient trackpad that didn't support it, and I didn't want to buy the Lightning one. So I'm glad to have Force Touch back. I think it's basically perfection in terms of an input device.
Force Touch, the first thing I turn off. It's so sensitive. Like it just all of a sudden goes into Force Touch mode if you touch it the wrong way, which drove me bonkers. I had to turn it off.
You can adjust that in settings.
Yeah, I did, and eventually I adjusted it to off because
That's fair.
I can't do it. Anything else, Griffin? Anything else in your shopping spree? Are you planning on keeping any of this merchandise, or purely buying it for review purposes?
Well, I actually planned on keeping both the trackpad and the mouse, but I honestly think I'm going to return the mouse.
Okay. You don't love it?
It's yeah. I tried for a day to be like one of those left trackpad, right mouse people that I see. That being
sounds
like a
totally
configuration.
insane. There are people that exist that do both.
A lot of people do that apparently, but you know what? I just found myself only using the mouse because like my right hand on the trackpad is I don't have like the dexterity to do that. I'm not good enough with my left hand.
Wow, I didn't even know such a person
kind of
existed.
See doing like left trackpad normal mouse, but like when the Magic Mouse already has some of the gestures, it's like, well, what am I doing here with the trackpad on? I'm just not even using it.
It sounds like trying to build and shoot in Fortnite. You got to be like 14 years old to pull that off. Otherwise, once you get to a certain point, the brain elasticity becomes too inflexible to make such actions happen.
I'm too millennial to understand what that even means. So.
Okay. All right. Well, y'all know I'm buying something, and I bet you guess what it is. Well, maybe not. You might get close. I think I'm gonna bite. I'm gonna go with the MacBook Pro. It was a tough. It's a tough call because are we getting the OLED MacBook Pros next year? I think that's a distinct possibility. But my M1 Max, my beautiful space gray M1 Max, has served me well. To be honest, it's probably still more than I need, but I want to make a change. I want to get something that's more powerful, and I'm hoping that the expense of the purchase will be a forcing function for me to get back into creating content again, especially for YouTube, which I've been trying to get back to and want to get back to, and I think will eventually get back to. So I want the MacBook Pro for that purpose. But then there are also other things. Like the 16-inch MacBook Pro is just heavy, dude. It's just heavy. It's almost 5 pounds, and I really would like to have something lighter. So I'm going to try and get the 14-inch this time and really stick it out because I think it's kind of like the perfect balance between power and weight. And even though it's probably not going to be as quick as the 16-inch version, even the 14-inch M4 Max MacBook Pro is going to be faster than my M1 Max, I think probably across the board. It also has a better video encode decode engine. It now supports AV1, which is a codec that we broadcast in, which is like the best codec for YouTube videos. So that will make my YouTube exports probably be faster. It's just going to be snappier across the board. The 1000 nit brightness on the screen is one of the main reasons why I want to upgrade. That really is almost twice the brightness of the screen that I have now, and it's a hugely useful, practical feature for everyday use. Having Thunderbolt 5 is nice. The Wi-Fi 6E, not 7 unfortunately, but 6E, another big win because my laptop, I think it's just Wi-Fi 6. And there definitely is a difference between 6 and 6E. You do notice a difference in Wi-Fi performance. So there's just a lot of little practical features that they've woven in that I think for me are going to be something that I actually notice, like the 4 extra performance cores on the CPU, the extra speed across all of the cores and the GPU, and then the lightweight is going to be, I think, a win for me. So I'm going to be looking to get the 14-inch. I'm not going to mess with the M4 Pro. I think that the M4 Pro chip is better for people that aren't content creators or are content creators on a budget. Then that would be the machine I probably get. Maybe even like the baseline M4 Pro. I'm going to go with the M4 Max. I'm not going to splurge for the extra 16-core version. I think that's just way too hardcore for even me. I mean, at a certain point, you reach the level of absurdity, right? You're like, okay, I could spend an extra $500, but what am I getting for this? And truly, I think for the top end M4 Max, you get the 2 extra CPU cores. You get the additional RAM, which they force you into. I definitely do not need 48 gigs of RAM. 32 is enough for me, or 36 actually, which is an upgrade over what I have now by 4 gigs. And the question now is color. So I really want to get the space black, but Apple has corralled me into a hard decision because my studio display is silver. That was the only color that was color that was offered. And so, do I get a silver version to match my studio display, or do I go with the space black, which I think actually will grow on me? But now I have a MacBook Pro that doesn't match the color of my studio display. These are all first world problems, I fully admit. But annoying nonetheless, right? You want to have your monitor and your computer match, right? Maybe you don't care.
Really?
I think I do. I think I do, Lewis. And this machine is going to be an absolute destroyer. It's going to do everything I could possibly want to do with it for the next 3 to 4 years, and will also be extremely portable and easy to carry around. Like it's almost 1.5 pounds lighter. It's almost 1.5 pounds lighter than the 16-inch MacBook Pro. Will I miss the larger screen? Definitely. But 1.5 pounds lighter, like that is substantial. The one thing I am a little worried about is the battery life, and not because, I should say only because I use Al Dente, this app that keeps the battery charged only to 80% so that the battery life doesn't degrade over time, because you don't want it to be charged to 100% all the time, like when it's just sitting on a desk. And so
you'll only have 20 hours of battery life and not 24. What will you do?
I know. Well, that's the thing. Like, it will still probably be a lot better than my M1 Max MacBook Pro. So, and I could sell. I was looking on eBay. I think I could sell my M1 Max in its current format, with its current specs, I should say, for almost $2,000. Almost $2,000. I mean, how bonkers is that? I've had that thing for over 3 years, and it's still worth probably 60% of what I bought it for. So if I can make that money back and put that towards the purchase of the M4 Max, I just don't think I can say no, man. I think I gotta bite the bullet, Lewis, and get myself a new MacBook Pro. We'll see if I regret this decision. I do suspect that next year will be the year of OLED, and if they do that, that's going to be alluring for me, I have to admit. Like, I'm going to be disappointed.
The last story that we covered on the show was that it's not going to happen until at least 2026.
I know, and I hope that rumor is right. I hope that rumor is right for my own personal satisfaction of the machine that I purchase. But I could also see them doing it next year. Like, we just don't know for sure. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to miss the larger screen. I love my 16-inch MacBook Pro. And I love the extra power that you get from the larger form factor because it's better at cooling. We'll wait and see what the specs are. I forget who it was. I think someone on Twitter was like, dude, why are you even talking about this? You know you're getting the 16. I was like, maybe.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Step up.
Maybe. But maybe not. I tried to get the 14-inch before, and I ended up returning it because I just couldn't do it. But I think this year might be my year. So I think I'm probably going to go space black, but I'm not sure. And a lot of this also depends on, and I don't want to say this to brag because I'm not trying to brag. I hope you all don't take it as a brag. Our very generous Apple community that listens to this program, I have had offers for discounts, which I immensely appreciate. They're not always available. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they aren't, which is why I'm probably going to wait until the new year to buy this because I have potential to get 25% off, which is huge. And I'm not sure I would spend $4,000 on this machine if I wasn't getting a discount. So I'll probably wait, and plus that gives me time to see the benchmarks. Like, I'm not going to end up reviewing the MacBook Pro. Everyone gets these machines so early on YouTube that it's kind of pointless. In fact, I saw Gurman pointing out, maybe even fuming a little bit, that
he seemed a little testy.
He did seem like he was annoyed, and this is something that we've brought up on this show, especially this year. He was observing that the people at the Apple events seemed to be heavily, it was very heavy influencer focused. So people on TikTok, people on YouTube, and he was observing that there weren't as many objective journalists there. And I'm like, yeah, man, they've been doing this for years. And why, if you're a big company, why would you invite objective journalists in who may critique you when you could just have a bunch of, I use this word gently, but maybe accurately, sycophantic suck-ups, to quote the great Bruce Wayne, who are going to say nothing but positive stuff about your machine on every social media platform. You flood social media, YouTube, with the positive stuff first so that it ranks, and then you go to the objective journalists, maybe, and they publish their stories, but guess what? They're not going to be on the first page anymore because you have 10,000 people who will say only positive stuff, knowing, maybe not explicitly agreeing to, but knowing that if they say something negative, they may not be invited to partake in future early releases. And those early releases are solid gold. I mean, you could be a non-talented YouTuber and you will get huge views just because you got the device early, and people don't care about what you have to say, but they care about the device. And it's hyped. The marketing machine is in full effect, and you're riding the wave, and you got the device first. Like, that's worth its weight in gold. And it seems to be, at least according to Gurman, that seems to be a strategy that Apple's employing this year. Am I right, Lewis? So
seems to be effective.
And it is effective, so no hate towards TC. But I'm never going to be that person that gets the stuff early. So for me, I'm like, if I get it in 2 months and then just do I guess I could do this, like not a positive review, an honest review of like what I actually think, and that won't bring in nearly as much traffic, but maybe people just are looking. There's less people who are going to be looking for honesty. There's a lot more people who are going to be looking for expediency. They just want to hear what people have to say right from the get-go and right when these things release. And that interest drops off, I think, the longer you wait after release, but it's still valuable. That's my piece. It's 1:35, Lewis. Should I hit the button?
Yeah, the earnings report's already out, man. You won't believe this. Apple broke some more records.
Oh my goodness. Let's hold
Record
on.
Made
revenue.
money? Oh my god.
Let me bring up the stock chart real fast. Let me see if the kids are still going to college. Oh, wait, where is it? Oh, no. Not looking good. Not looking good, Lewis. Down 1.82%. College is off the menu.
Yeah, they only brought in $94.9 billion.
That's it? Oh.
Yeah.
Hope is lost.
Only up 6% year over year.
TC's not sleeping tonight. He's going to be shooting those glares down the hallway as he walks. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap it up there, folks. That's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. We'll, of course, have more as new information becomes available on everything that Apple announced at, their videos this week. Kind of odd, their videos this week. But the fun continues in the very exclusive halls of the Cult Club. And you can join us there at support.thecultcast.com, support.thecultcast.com, cultof9to5macrumors.com. This has been the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night. I want to thank everyone for listening, for hanging out live, and for your support. And we'll see you guys next time. Oh, hey, before you go, drop your purchase decisions in the chat here, folks. Let me see what you get. Plus, it helps with engagement. It's those two things, right? Share your opinions. Plus, YouTube might promote us to the sad folks who only know about the talk show. I think all hope is lost. There is hope, my friends. There is hope. Oh yeah, M4. Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm going 2 terabytes. As am I. You gotta go too. You gotta go too. Real men go too. M4, MacBook Pro, 32 gigs, 1 terabyte. Okay. Well, half man, but a man nonetheless. All right, everyone. Have a good weekend. Bye, y'all.